We would like to welcome Dr. Samir Dixit, who's here from our global health partner, the Center for Molecular Dynamics in Nepal. And he's here to tell us about his work that he's done in Nepal. He is one of the founders and the research director of the Center for Molecular Dynamics. We've been partners, we just realized, since 2015 now. So it's been some time, and we've been sending students for quite some time. We have a couple of students who are going to be going in the audience. We have a couple of students who worked with Nepal on Zoom. So we're really excited to have you here, and I will let you take over.
Okay, thank you, everybody. You can hear me, right? So everybody on the camera, hello. I'll explain why that is so comfortable for me very soon, towards the end of my talk. So yeah, this is the title of my talk. So I'm Samir, and I'm sorry about the resolution issues. I did not realize we'll be doing in the bright sunshine, you know. So I designed it for like dark rooms so you can actually see this clearly. But on Zoom, I think you can see clearly. So I'm the co-founder and head of research, co-founder and the head of research at CMDN, Center for Molecular Dynamics, Nepal. I'm also a visiting short-term scholar at Global Health Department at Luther College. So they've started a major there, and I'm an alumni of Luther College in Iowa. So I was invited by them to help with the course last 1 month, and I've just finished that, completed that, and very gracious of the Global Health team here, especially Alex, to invite me to give a lecture or give a talk here today. So I'm also, as Alex correctly pointed out, I'm the coordinator and the focal point for CMDN as far as Turo interns are concerned, and I've been doing that since 2015, apparently, so it's been a while. In 2 years, it'll be a 10th anniversary, so I hope so. Alex or someone, or all of you come to Nepal. So it'll be good reason to come, 10-year anniversary, you know. So my talk, I guess I have an hour, right? I have an hour. It will revolve around what we do in Nepal, the background to how we started, and how difficult it was to start organizations such as ours in Nepal, and what kind of work we have done since then. Because 1 hour is a very short time, I can't talk about everything we've done, but I'll try to kind of give you a snapshot of the things we're doing and we have done in the past and our history. So now let's see if this will open the next slide. Okay. I haven't deleted anything. Okay, there you go. Okay, so this is Nepal. For those of you that haven't been here, Nepal is like a rectangle, it's long. We have 7 provinces, and these provinces Nepal got a new constitution in 2015. Again, so around the same time as tourist students started coming. So we went from a different type of political system to a new type of political system. That meant new provinces were set up by the constitution. So we're now 7 provinces. All of them have names. Koshi is the province that just got its name less than 3 months ago. Otherwise, it was just called Province 1. So so we're like Province 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the last province, and before that, this got the name. And the first province to get the name was actually in the very far west of Nepal. So this is Nepal. And to give put things in perspective, we are 147,000 square kilometers in area. We have 30 million population. And in the US, Illinois is the state of Illinois is closest to Nepal. It's about 150,000 square kilometers in area and 13 million population. That shows that we have 3 times more population than Illinois, even though Illinois is still a bit bigger than Nepal. And also another comparison is I gave this comparison in Luther. I gave a presentation there in Iowa. So Iowa was very close to home for them. So Iowa is almost similar to Nepal in size. They're about 145,000 square kilometers, but the population is 3 million. So that's how dense we are populated. And Nepal, although it's a small country, it's a low-income country. But it's still bigger than a lot of European countries. So we might be a small country, but we're not really necessarily the smallest in the world. We're actually in the middle somewhere. So that's how, but in terms of population, we're up there. For population compared to size, we're up there. So we have the population to sustain the economy to an extent. Okay, now we go back, we go forward. There you go. Oh, I want to show this. This is Nepal. So two of you and the others that have been to Nepal before will can identify. This is what Nepal looks like, but it's not always mountains. And this is me, by the way. I was there last year or in March to the base camp of this mountain, Amadablam. It's 6,800 meters. So I went somewhere down here, just behind here. There's a base camp, around 4,800 meters. That's multiplied by 3 for your feet. We work with the metric system in Nepal, so you guys want to get used to that. We deal with degrees Celsius and kilometers and meters, that sort of thing. And this is on the way there. So Nepal is full of places like this, but we also have the south of Nepal, which is flat, warm to hot, jungles, rivers, lakes. It's a very diverse country for a country that's so small. This Nepal always wasn't very peaceful country. This is a photo of a Maoist guerrilla. Nepal had a huge Maoist civil war between 2000 and 2000, up to 2010 almost. The war raged for about 10 years, and they were fighting Nepal's army and Nepal's government. We used to have a monarchy, a king. The king used to rule the country for a long time, 237 years. Then, but with the new constitution, we changed that to a republic. Now we're a republic, a secular republic. And this group that was fighting the army and the government actually has their prime minister right now in Nepal. And it's the third time, he's become prime minister third time in the last 12 years or 13 years. So they're now a mainstream political party. They're the third largest. So this is Mao's, again, female guerrilla. They had a lot of, what they didn't do was they empowered the females. So female empowerment was massive in their scheme of things. So a lot of warriors and all that in their group. But this is the guy. He is the prime minister now. This is the prime minister at that time. He died about 5-6 years ago, and they signed a peace deal. We made it to Time magazine cover, so they can imagine how important it was. You know, Nepal made it to Time. So they formed. This is the photo when they signed a peace deal with the Maoists. They are the guerrilla team. That his name is Pushpa Kamal Dhala. Is known as Prachanda. He's the prime minister now, even now, elected, not by guns, by votes. So, yeah. So all these things have led to. The real insurgent was from 1996 to 2006, but then after peace, even for a couple of years, there was some confusion, you know, whether we're at war or not at war. But main thing is this is the main time of war. About 17,000 Nepalis lost their lives. So I want you to remember this date, from anything from 1996 to 2006, but going as far as 2008 is when the civil unrest was there. We had a royal massacre. I mentioned the king, right? We used to have a king. This was the king's immediate family, the king, the queen, his oldest son, youngest son, and middle daughter. This son, one fine evening on a Friday night, the royal family was still in power. He had a few drinks, too many, and he probably was not happy about something. That's what we think. There's a lot of conspiracy theories because we still, up to today, we don't know what really happened, because most everyone in the room all of them were there, and also immediate family, like this king's youngest brother and his family, and his other brother's family, but the other brother was not there that night, but there's a lot of people in that room. He had gone to his room, he came back drunk, and with his AK-47 automatic, he just shot everyone. He killed them. He killed most everyone except, which is again a conspiracy theory, his brother, who wasn't there, and his brother's side of the family that was there in that room that night, none of them got shot at or killed. So that family survived. And then his brother went on to become the king of Nepal for a very brief time. This was in 2001. Now, if you look at the dates, it was right in the middle of Maoist war. The peace deal hadn't been signed. The peace deal was signed in 2006. So the royal family was still in power, but with the prime minister. So they were constitutional monarch, but the power was with the prime minister who was elected. So it's not autocratic, but still the monarchy was there. This is after their death. That's how they're laid down, and in Hindu culture you burn the dead bodies. You don't cremate. You don't put it on. You don't bury them, you cremate with fire. That's very massive turn of history then. And then I told you about 2006, the peace deal was signed and Nepal got the new constitution in 2015. But right around the time of constitution, we got a massive earthquake in 2015, April 24th. In fact, 3 days ago, we celebrated the 8th year of earthquake, Nepal earthquake. We had a lot. Look, this is Kathmandu. And I was there. I remember the earthquake, oh my God. And just one earthquake, it's a magnitude 8, it's huge. Then we had a series of other earthquakes from that day onwards. And even now, we still get some after shocks, very low, we don't even feel it. But earthquakes tend to be like that. After the major earthquake, it just keeps on going, you know? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So yeah, we had that. And I think the tour students had not come just yet, but they started after that. So around the same time. So around 8,620 deaths, but I think that number has come up to around 10,000 now. Some people subsequently died. So around 9,000 people died. 9,000 Nepalese died in and around the western part of Nepal. Kathmandu also there's a death, but most deaths were outside. This was from the epicenter was western side of Nepal. Because Nepal, as I said, is long, right? So Kathmandu is kind of in the center. So left side of Kathmandu was where the massive damage took place. Right side, nothing really happened. Yeah, so a lot of damage was done. So that caused major infrastructural damage, electricity, water. I mean, think of big buildings were falling down and, you know, inside the buildings, things fell down, like your microwave, machines, whatever. And our lab also had damage with machines and all that, you know, things fell off, basically. When you have a magnitude 8 is huge. I mean, 4 is enough to make you shudder. 8 is like massive. Yeah, I mean, I remember we couldn't walk. We had to like be on our 4 legs and feet while the earthquake was going on. Short burst, but about a minute of absolute shaking. That's very long. And then what happened was so April to September, you can do the maths. April is 4th month, September is 9th. So within 5 months of having survived a major earthquake, and Nepal is a landlocked country. I forgot to mention, east, west, and south are India. North is China. So India and Nepal have this love-hate relationship. India is huge, very powerful, and Nepal is small. And we share a lot of similarities. India and Nepal share a lot of similarities. We have our borders are not, they're borders, but they're not regulated. People go back and forth we don't need a passport. Between Nepal and India, we just need an ID card of any photo ID to pass through. We have like a cultural, family, everything relationships. So we have very good and sometimes love-hate relationships. We have good all the time, but sometimes we are bad. So in 2015, Nepal and India had some political conflicts. So what India did was it blocked all its borders. So when I say borders were open, what I mean is the border points where the entry point for vehicles is regulated. But we have a 1,600 kilometer long border with India. So vehicles only come from certain points because they're manageable. Otherwise, there are rivers and all that, so vehicles don't come. So those border points, India blocked for leverage. It's a political thing. And when that happened, we did not get fuel, we did not get essential medicine. We had major issues for about 4 to 5 months. But then, surprisingly, that went away in 4 or 5 months again. But then that did enough damage to us because we were just coming out, and then we had this. So in terms of science and technology and everything else you can think of, we had to face a lot of problems. So I'm just giving you a backdrop of the kind of things that Nepal has gone through. I mean, since 1990s, basically. From 1990 to today, that's not a lot of years. That's around 30 years. 30 years we have seen all this, Nepali population. And then this, you might find this funny and even humorous, load shedding is power cuts. We had massive power cut problems. We had electricity problem in Nepal, even though we have world's one of the most, in terms of ranking, we're ranked as high up with maximum number of rivers in any country. We have about 1,400 rivers. And we have hydroelectricity projects. Now we have got surplus of electricity because of hydro. Now we have. But until 2017, we're in massive problem, and it was due to mismanagement, corruption. And one gentleman came and he took over the electrical power authority of the government, and he changed that within a year. But before he came in, this is a schedule, okay? See, look at Sunday to Saturday, we're divided into group. I think my house was in group 4 or 5. I can't remember. It's been a while now. So this is the time when the power would be shut down, not when the power would be on. So look at the power shutdowns. See that? On an average, 14 hours. This is January 2017. Now, remember the earthquake? When we had the earthquake, we had power struggle ongoing. And where the Maoists had finally come to talk and be part of the government. But we were having this. So imagine, how can you do science and health and medicine? We had generator and we had solar. And one good thing in Nepal is that most every household has a solar panel for at least basic electricity. But it doesn't help with the heating. And it's, it gets pretty bad. So on an average, we had 14 hours power cuts on an average. 2017, 16 was the worst. 16 was, we had up to 16 hours. And because we're hydroelectricity based, we don't buy too much electricity from anywhere. We're from India, about a bit of electricity, but now, yes, after this, I mean, you can imagine how difficult it was to do any work that we did. Then, I told you from 2017, we got out. Now we don't get power cuts. We have tons of power. We're, in fact, selling to India now. We buy from India, we sell to India, and Bangladesh, we're planning to sell to Bangladesh also. So our requirement is only about 1,800 megawatts for us per year, and then we generate over 2,800 megawatts now, and there's a few more coming up. So we'll have not just excess, just too much electricity very soon, which is a good problem to have, right? And then we thought we were all okay, fine, everything's good. Now finally start coming back to reality, coming back to good thing. And then COVID struck, as you know, we are first returning from Wuhan, from China. There are a lot of Nepali students that go to China to study, and America and Australia. But this returning from Wuhan, this young student came and was tested positive on 13 January 2020. And from there on, I mean, we just went bad and bad and bad. And then we had a lockdown for 4 months, then another lockdown afterwards. So we had 2 lockdowns. One lockdown, then opening of lockdown, then I think we had another lockdown, second lockdown, and then other opening of lockdown. So 4 months first, then 3 months, something like that. So a lot of lockdowns, like you guys would have. We're badly hit, but we're not badly hit in the first one. But second one was bad. The second lockdown was the Delta variant. The Delta variant killed a lot of people, not because of the virus itself, but the lack of oxygen, because we don't have oxygen plants in most places, even hospitals. We had to get it from India, but India was having a hard time. Delta was killing Indians like left, right, and center. We were also getting the brunt of it because we didn't have enough oxygen. So, yeah, so we got a brunt of the problem. This is 2019. So roughly, cases have increased, but the deaths have kind of. We have a small wave going on right now, even right now as we speak, but it's Omicron, so it's not too bad. It's just there, but we haven't vaccinated now. So yeah, so this was going on, and from the very beginning, embassies were letting their employees leave, like what you're doing in Sudan and all that, right? So on this backdrop, you can imagine here. My team and I were planning to do something in Nepal, health research, public health research. Now, I connect this because I just gave you a backdrop of the kind of situation we were facing. I came back after studying in USA for my undergrad in Australia for my postgrad and PhD. So I'm educated in the USA and very short time in UK, but then UK studies didn't count because I didn't like it, I left. But then I went to Australia for my master's and PhD. So I came back in 2005 to Nepal permanently. I actually came back in 2004, but I had to go and defend my thesis in Australia. So I defended it in 2005, and then I came back to Nepal in 2005 permanently, and I joined Kathmandu University as an academic. So where I taught for 5 years. During that time, I felt that the university was too constricting for a country like Nepal and for the ideas that I had in my mind. Having studied overseas, I wasn't just going to come back to Nepal and be constricted to the limited capacity and limited knowledge that was available at the university at the time. So I did my job for 5 years. I tried to impart as much education as I could, but then I thought, if I want to do research, university is not where I need to be, or I can be. Because unlike here, in Nepal, universities did not provide so much facilities then, 2005. Now things have changed. Nepal is rapidly progressing. Things are changing quite fast, but it's very difficult to bring a country like Nepal because we're moving from low-income country to low-middle-income country by 2030. So 2030 is we're supposed to step up to low-middle-income country. Then there's a middle-income country, then middle-high, then high. There's a whole thing that we do. So from 2030, we'll no longer be low-income country. We'll be low-middle-income country. But what that means is we're changing quite fast. So what I'm saying right now, like you have to think like, looks like a huge thing, but then that's rapidly changing. Anyway, so my plan was to do something in Nepal. So I've met a few friends. I'll show you photos. And then we set up and we started the organization, CMDN, that I've just introduced myself. Setting up is one thing, but being able to do work is very difficult. Now, when I say 2005, when I came back to Nepal, and 2007, we registered the organization, all the things I said at the onset of this talk were still in progress. The political process was still ongoing. We're not totally at the end. Electricity problems, we had the earthquake, we had the blockade, and and then we had the COVID. So in spite of this, we kept on going. We started this in 2008, 2007 when CMDN was started, and then we have been going since then, now 2023, since 16 years. But the problem is, we knew Nepal is endemic to a number of communicable and non-communicable diseases. Communicable as infectious, people die of cholera. Tuberculosis is a massive problem. HIV, hepatitis C, human papillomavirus, cervical cancer. I mean, those are our main issues. But now with development comes the problem of the Western countries, like lifestyle changes, diabetes, kidney problems, cancers increasing due to food and other habits. So Nepal has both the developing country problem, but the now developed country problems. We see both. And because of that, we knew that we need to find a lot of information for health in Nepal because not many people were doing health research in 2005-06 in Nepal. The amount of research money is negligible in Nepal. There's hardly any funding given to research organizations or academic institutions for research. So we thought we should do it, because we could attract funds. We could do new things in Nepal. But as I said, we did not do a lot of things. In the burden of disease information we didn't have for Nepal. Some of the diagnostic kits and vaccines that were developed elsewhere and being brought to Nepal. We did not know what our own population required, what our own endemic strains of bacteria and viruses were. We had no clue of all of these things. And at the policy planning and health intervention by government, we were using estimates rather than actual data, actual evidence, because hardly much research was being done. So within this backdrop, we felt that we had to do something, but then we had a lot of difficulties with all these things happening around us. But we decided, well, this information was almost mission impossible. How will you do research when you don't have money, when you have people being shot, you have army and Mao's fighting, no electricity, and then you have the earthquake, name it, and no money with the government, But we felt that these answers needed to be answered. These questions needed to be answered. We needed to work on all these things. That's how CMDN was started by 5 of us. I'll show you the photo very soon. This is 4 of us, and Dibesh you have met. Divesh and I, first, we started talking. He was in USA. I was in Nepal at Kathmandu University teaching. You will meet all of them. And Prachanda and Rajesh. He is from sociology. He's from management. And we have another friend whose name is Rajesh. He lives in Canada. He lives and works in Canada. He's an operations manager at the company. So 4 or 5 of us got together, and I was the only one in science, in research at that time. So I left my university job, and we really started the organization. So we wanted to focus on science and health. So that's how Center for Molecular Dynamics was started in 2007, with everything around us. We're a non-governmental, non-for-profit research-based organization. We do field and lab-based research in health, environment, and One Health. So we're a human, animal, well, One Health, and also conservation. We do conservation research also. But I'm not going to talk about that today because I'm more into health. So we're considered now a leading organization in Nepal outside of government. We're not even an academic institution. We're not a hospital, but we're a research NGO basically. And well, last 16 years, we've gained a lot of reputation, good reputation for conducting good funded research. We don't start research on our own, we do funded research. So we train a lot of individuals. Our team is very young members in the team, in our team, and usually all researchers that want to do something in science and technology, and public health, obviously. So our modus operandi is very similar. It's very simple. We do collaborative research. Because our government doesn't give us money, we look for funding opportunities. I mentioned earlier, Gates Ventures, Gates Foundation, universities overseas, Global Fund, UN bodies, WHO, UNICEF. So any organization that wants to do some research in Nepal, they tend to now approach us also, if it's got public health component to it, or pure science component to it. In that way, for the last 16 years, that's what we've been doing. People get approach us saying, we want to do this work in Nepal, can we collaborate? I say, well, sure. So they bring the funding, we do the work. And they also do the work, obviously. So that's how we have been doing the work. And we have also a lab. Now the lab, even though I said I'm CMDN, Center for Molecular Dynamics Nepal, we built a privately owned lab separately to do the lab-based work. So the private lab is paid by us to do the lab-based component of any research we carry out. Why do we need a private lab? Because, as I said, CMDN is a not-for-profit research organization registered in Nepal. And in Nepal, that type of institution, so it's an NGO, non-government organization, cannot own property. So it's always government's property. The government can always take over an NGO if the things are not going well. But we could not do that because to build a lab, we had to get money from people, from loan from bank, personal support from different agencies and organizations. And there's a lot of hard work to develop a lab. So we thought, well, we can't take a risk. If the government comes and takes over, where are we? So we decided to make it a private entity. It's the same team. It's just as run by different, we're allowing the management is done by a different team, but the owners are the same people I just showed you the photos of. So we are the 4 people that own the private lab also, and the NGO also. So yeah, we do coursework, trainings, workshop, internship, etc. So we do a lot of work in public health arena, basically, and in conservation. And you can see these are some of the field work we do, and there's some of the lab work we do. We go to the field, collect samples, do questionnaire surveys, surveillance. We work with government. We always have make sure the government is in our team. We have some level of connection with the government because we don't do anything on our own. This is a study with WHO. So yeah, we work with WHO. We work with, all the good agencies in Nepal and outside also. We make sure everything is connected. And there's a lot of work we've done. I wish I could explain every work we've done. Like an example, PREDICT. We worked with the USAID funding. The partner was University of California, Davis. So PREDICT is in about 80 countries worldwide, if I'm correct, around 80. For Nepal, we were the host. CMDN was the host country for PREDICT. So we're looking for zoonotic viruses that are capable of infecting and affecting the human population, including corona, henta, Zika, you name it. And part of the study was looking into different animals and humans, and even environmentalists look for viruses in animals, domesticated and otherwise, including monkeys and bats, rodents, ducks, dogs, you name it. We're doing surveillance of all of them. And we actually found some of these viruses. Look at this, human coronavirus, murine coronavirus, duck coronavirus. We found a parainfluenza virus, Newcastle disease virus, influenza A, dengue, and among many. So we're actually, this PREDICT does is a surveillance program carried out by US government. So US government gives money to USAID. USAID imparts the funds to California Davis, and Davis has partners in different countries doing the work. So we were the Nepal partner. So the whole purpose is surveillance of viruses and this predict came before COVID. So this actually, all the predict has stopped now, which is very unfortunate thing. The whole point of predict was to make sure that you detected the virus before it became an epidemic. And the predict project stopped just before COVID started worldwide. Very interesting. But the importance of predict suddenly became very, very clear after, after seeing some of these, and then COVID hit us, But luckily for us, this project gave us the strength for surveillance and diagnostics. So we are very clear how to do the genomic sequencing, PCRs, molecular detection of COVID and other viruses, corona and other viruses, before COVID struck. While the rest of the world was learning, we were teaching. And we did a lot of work at COVID during the COVID period and SARS-CoV-2. And we just finished the study. This is Gates Ventures, Bill and Gates Foundation. These are the partners. So CMDN is here. Emory is the main partner. There's Georgia Tech, and all of these are there. And these are other main research partners for the exemplars in global health projects. So exemplars means different determinants: vaccines, maternal health, neonatal health, stunting, and the other determinants also. But they go to developing countries or low-income countries where those countries are showing exemplary work in improving the status, whether it's immunization coverage or whether it's reducing the stunting problem or increasing the nutritional value of the food in that country. So it's usually focused on low-income countries and make them examples for the other countries to follow. They try to find out what is it that that particular country has done well, so the other low-income countries and some middle-income countries can learn. So that's what exemplars is. So we were the partner for vaccination. So we were selected, and we worked very closely with Emory. We're doing another study right now on maternal health and neonatal birth with London School and us. So that's another study we're doing right now. So so maybe the interns and tour, you'll get to know more about the kind of work we're doing and also be part of it, learn more. So we publish, so whatever we do, obviously, everything we do is published. It's not just report, we publish everything. We even looked at what happened during COVID, our routine immunization that we're so good at, apparently, because we're an exemplar country, was it affected by COVID? And apparently not. We did a study, part of Gates Ventures study. We found that we did compare with Nepal, Senegal, and Liberia. All of these countries are exemplar countries for immunization. In this example, in Nepal, the immunization program was not hampered by COVID. It went on very smoothly, even with lockdowns and everything. And we found, we addressed that. We said, well, why did we do it so well? And yeah, there's another publication from the exemplar, and we're working on that. We're working a few other papers as we speak right now. So these are the kind of things we do. I mean, the labs and the non-lab. So it's not just only lab, or it's not only non-lab. This is our latest study that we did. We just finished that. So this is a partnership between, where Wellcome Trust funded it in the UK, Liverpool School of Tropical Health, Oxford University Clinical Research Unit. One is missing, University of Cambridge, Sanger Institute. And then there's one NGO in Nepal, BNMT, Birat Nepal Medical Trust. So we were funded by Wellcome Trust, and the main international UK-based organization, because Wellcome Trust is in the UK, their partner was Liverpool School, and they worked predominantly with the UK NGO in Nepal, BNMT, and then we did the lab work, which is basically a lab-based work study. So we try to understand, because of migration, because we get a lot of migration between Nepal and India. I explained that earlier. So we want to see whether there's a difference in the strains and the variants that are coming to Nepal from India, because that's how it comes. Is there a difference in different parts of Nepal, and whether that has anything to do with long COVID? So we didn't do the long COVID part. My organization didn't do, but the others did. So that result, they're analyzing as we speak. We just finished the study, but we did the different ways. We did the 2 waves of COVID that we saw, and we tried to see what kind of variants were present in those waves. Not many countries have done it to this level. And we were able to start from the second wave, because the first wave, the study hadn't started. Nepal had 3 waves. fourth smaller wave, and now we have a fifth very small wave going on right now. We were able to start the study and look at what kind of variants were present at this time. And then talking to the community, looking for long COVID symptoms, mental health symptoms. That's a survey that's being done by BNMT, not us, but that's part of the study. So our job was the lab only. And we found that in the second wave was the Delta, which was very lethal, that killed a lot of Nepalese. First wave didn't do much. And then third was Delta and Omicron. Omicron became very weak. We did not have much damage due to Omicron, but by that time we had vaccines also. And so the study was initiated from May to January. So about 16 months and about 1,800 SARS-CoV-2 isolates we tested and people. So I'm not going to go detail, but we did 3 sites. This is we work with government hospitals. This is a hospital in the far west in Nepal, western side of Nepal, eastern side in Nepal, and in Kathmandu. These are all government hospitals. And then there are patients coming in. So we got samples from them, and we looked at what kind of variants were floating around, and we found that there were differences in the variants found here, found here, found here. Even though they're very similar, but the subvariants, Omicron was there everywhere, but even among Omicron, the subvariants were different depending on where we were, even for a small country like Nepal. Now we're trying to find whether long COVID is different between these sites. So that variant might have played a role. So that kind of study we have done. This is an old study we did. This is when, I'm not sure if you have heard about, did you hear about Haiti and cholera in Haiti in 2010, where the Nepali peacekeeping soldiers were implicated as part of being in the UN peacekeeping force and spreading cholera to Haiti for the first time in 2010. And there over 10,000 people die of cholera. And cholera should not be killing people. And so what we did was, after this, my team, we partnered with a very famous diarrheal research institution of the world in Bangladesh. It's called ICDDR Bangladesh, ICDDRB. It's an international research institute. So comparable to CMD, it's just that it's run by international entities. So CMD is run by ourselves, right? But ICDDR is huge, they're very big. So we partnered with them, Dr. Munirul Alam, ICDDR Bangladesh, and we got samples from Haiti, Nepal, Bangladesh, and not from that particular outbreak, but from different outbreaks. And we try to see whether they're very similar. We found they were similar, but not necessarily same. And we found that strains from Bangladesh and India and Pakistan were very similar to those found in Haiti. So our argument was, because Vibrio cholera that causes cholera is very clonal, meaning very closely related, you cannot just pinpoint one country for spreading the disease, because peacekeepers from Bangladesh and India and Pakistan were also around Haiti from a long time ago, because UN takes peacekeepers from different countries in places of problem. So even though scientifically Nepal was implicated, we gave a different perspective, saying, well, don't just blame Nepal. There are other countries also in the world, I mean, including those with very strong cholera outbreak background, like Nepal. So it could be other countries also, because you can't just blame Nepal, is what we said. So yeah, so very, very briefly, but you can read the work. The reason I'm putting this up is because a research institute like us is supposed to inform the government, inform the people on what to do next. Not necessarily, go all just doing research. And that's what we did. Our research gave evidence to Nepal government to say, well, this is the evidence from the field of Vibrio cholera. Try to put a word in the United Nations saying, well, we may not be the only culprits here, And so we were giving evidence for public health intervention and future implications for something similar in the world. So this is an example of our early work. We published it also. So yeah, so Haiti cholera was a big turning point for Nepal and for UN. I mean, Haiti government sued UN for bringing people from Nepal, they didn't say Nepal, but it's a South Asian country, and spreading cholera. And Nepal couldn't say much because we didn't have proper science research at that time. But we were one of the very few organizations that were dared to do research in collaboration and try to kind of try to put things in perspective. But the scientific evidence was way too overwhelming. Too many scientists trying to implicate UN. So in the end, UN had to apologize. They did not give money, but they gave money for infrastructure development and all that, which is good. So you'll see some familiar faces here. Nicole and the two guys. So they were at this is a TB clinic in outside of Kathmandu. This is in Chitwan. They were at TB clinic and they were finding out about how the TB work is done, how the surveillance is done. And they were talking to the health assistants there, assistant and lab people there. And this is with an INGO that works on tuberculosis. They were there for some interaction and lectures. So you made it. We're almost at the end. So yeah, so thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And this is a PhD student from Australia. You can see he's a huge guy. Sam. He did his master's with us and he finished his master's and he's doing PhD work with us on hepatitis B virus and how it affects the mountain population of Nepal. And this is Nisha. And there's Melina is not in this picture, but Melina is the one. Nisha and Melina handle the tour students also. You'll get to meet Nisha and also Melina. And the Bisho and they handle the field. These are the field experts. So I think this was some outside of Kathmandu. Somewhere we went. No, this is Kathmandu. The farewell for him. We were saying goodbye. So I've done some work. I was awarded a few awards by Australia. I made it to their university cover page twice. Wollongong University and Western Sydney University. Because I got a University of the Alumni of the Year from Wollongong and then Western Sydney in 2017, Wollongong in 2019, just before COVID struck, 2019 November. And then I got the Australian Federal Award. Not this one. So I don't have that. Sorry, I don't have that. But this is from, I have another one, which is it's the Australian government giving me. So I got that for the work we did in Nepal. I did that and so this is us. So this is so as I said, CMDN is an NGO. This is a private wing. We own the lab. Now under the private wing, we have several sub-entities. These are commercial diagnostics. So we do commercial diagnostics. It's done by some other party with other stakeholders, other promoters, other shareholders. But we are just a manager. We manage it. The geoinformatics. This is a cancer diagnosis. This is normal diagnosis. And then now, we are one of the partners in a Newcastle disease vaccine development, like a company that has been formed. But it's been 5 years in making, so it's kind of very early stages, but we're hopeful this will be a bit more successful, but we're having we were trying to make this more successful. So there's some challenges there. But other than that, I think we're doing quite good. So we're moving ahead with our research, diagnostics, and if the vaccine company does well, we're in good position, to do more research. So lastly, this is a team. So this keeps changing. So there's Devesh, Rajesh, myself, Prachanda, and the entire team. I wonder if Melina is here somewhere. She should be here somewhere. There, that's Melina. Okay, that's Melina and that's Nisha. They work together and they're also standing together in the picture. So Melina is the person you'll be talking to. So this is the team. And they keep changing. After 2 years, they go overseas to do PhD or study wherever. We try to retain them, but in Nepal, it's very, very difficult to retain young minds. They want to go higher up and do better things, and they're pulled. The experience we give them, universities just take away. Can you imagine? I mean, getting all the experience and expertise, and any university, academic institution would love to have them, So. The sound is there, right? So a short 15-second video. I think it's coming soon. Besides what I do, right? I wonder if it'll play. How does it play? There. This is me on my television set. Another television set. Another television set. I was doing podcast, movie. I was on movie. That's me dancing in a movie. I did it once or twice. Me in the movie, I'm on the one in yellow. I was doing Vox Talk for media, doctor show for me, TV. I was being interviewed during COVID, what to do, what not to do, I cycle. I'm a cyclist. I'm a daily cyclist in Nepal. And that's me. So that is, thank you, Toro, for inviting me. Even though your logo is missing out, I'll promise you I'll fix the logo when I send you the video, the presentation again. So, but it's in your, I've emailed you anyway. So yeah, thank you.